welcome back to Pete Punch Beef Gaming. Today I would like to do a couple of unboxings. The first one I want to do is Marvel Crisis Protocol Kingpin, and this is by Atomic Mass Games, and the second one is going to be the Punisher Taskmaster set as well. I have been doing miniature gaming for over 20 years. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love painting the models. I love building the models. It is super fun. I also have a fond place in my heart on the Punisher series as well as Kingpin. Taskmaster is super cool as well, but I think I really love both Punisher and Kingpin. I haven't yet had a chance to play a game of Marvel Crisis Protocol, but I think the models look great, and I'm super excited to paint them and get a game in at some point here in the very near future. So my intent today is to kind of crack these suckers open, let you guys take a quick peek at what's inside so you know what you're buying, and go from there. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's go ahead and bust into the first one here, and that is the Kingpin game, or Kingpin model here. So like I mentioned, it is from Atomic Mass Games, as you can see. I paid $24.95 for this, and they have a little bit of a background on here that you can read about good old Wilson Fisk. Super cool character. What you can find in here is going to be one miniature base stat card, 3 team tactics cards, affiliation, crisis cards, and 8 tokens. Let's go ahead and open this guy up here. Okay. When you open it up, it looks like you get a nice little token pack right out of the gate here with some cards. We'll crack this sucker open so you guys can take a look at what we've got here. The first thing we'll take note is the Kingpin card, which you guys can take a look at, all the stats. Very nice color, and I like kind of the cartoons. It reminds me of that kind of that retro Batman cartoon that was on some time ago. And then here's the back side of the card, or maybe it's the front side of the card. See all the different abilities that he's got going on here. Next, we'll take a quick peek at the tokens. We got some nice tokens here. They're kind of nice high gloss. The dies are super cleanly done. Those come out just really nice. No hang-ups, no problems with cutting it out there, so you can see. So looks like they've done a pretty good job with these overall here. Next, we've got the cards. So these are according to plan, syndicate. And they're kind of this faded background look, which I guess is right there according to plan. You see the art that's kind of shadowed on there with what happens, criminal syndicate, reactive. You've got the hired muscle card. Then we move on to this shadow organization. I do love the art. It's kind of cool seeing this back. They seem to be pretty nice. They're not linen, but at least they don't appear to be linen, but they seem to be nice. I'd probably sleeve them up when you get right down to it. Then we've got the criminal syndicate card itself. Kind of shows you who you can have in here, I guess. And then finally, we've got this one remaining card here, the Daily Bugle, when you get right down to it. Okay, now let's move on to the miniature itself. So, we've got a little bit of paperwork there. Miniature comes in this nice plastic bag here to keep everything together, which is good in case your sprue was busted up. Looks like you get your choice of bases here, which is kind of cool. No place necessarily to put a magnet. Looks like you kind of have to green stuff a magnet on if you're into magnetizing your bases. But they look nice, high detail. Not a lot of flash or anything like that on them. Looks like Kingpin, it's got kind of a front and a back to his suit there. Lots of really good detail, as you can see. Arms and legs, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. About a 10-piece model when you get right down to it. Get the auto zoom on there. As you can see, here's the back of the sprue. Looks like it's all kind of socketed together, which is really nice. And then finally, you get some instructions that kind of walk you through. So this looks like a pretty reasonable sculpt to put together, and he's standing on a sign. He's got his cane. Again, the art is fantastic. And then you've got this kind of read me first. Kind of talk you through how to do everything. So that's Kingpin. Pretty slick when you get right down to it. I guess the kit number is CP29, CP29. But anyways, all right, let's move on to the Punisher and Taskmaster. All right, guys, here is all the contents of the Punisher Taskmaster set that has been unboxed here. So let's take a quick peek here. We'll start with the token set. As you can see, we've got 10 tokens here total. It looks like Frank Castle definitely has got some unique tokens to him with his art on there. And then we're going to transition to the Taskmaster card. The art is pretty awesome. It's got his sword strike, shield throw, mnemonic technique, photographic reflexes, all that good stuff. And then the back side of the card. So you can take a quick peek at that. Then we'll move down to the Punisher, aka Frank Castle. You can take a look at his different components. Non-wounded side. Beautiful art. And then here are the cards. So we'll start with Heavy Ordnance. Like a generic card, probably. Unaffiliated. Then we've got Blood Red and Personal. That is really dark art, and I love it, which is very fitting for the Punisher. And then finally, we've got Extreme Conditioning. And we'll show Spider-Man doing some push-ups here, which is probably good for him when you get down to it. One of the other things I really like is it seems like they're pretty generous with their bases, and they give you quite a bit of options available to you, and plus 2 extra bases. Like the Kingpin set, it doesn't look like it has a mold for magnet necessarily, but you could certainly do one. Probably about 40 mil size, maybe a little smaller. And then here's the Taskmaster. Most of this looks like really nice kind of press and fit type stuff. If you're brand new, you probably don't have to use any super glue, I'm guessing, but you probably want to, especially if you're painting them and doing quite a bit of handling. And then of course you're going to definitely have to glue them to the base. It's a nice shot of his head. And then moving on, here's Frank Castle. His sprue is quite a bit smaller. His duffel bag and his rifle. It's the back side of the sprue. And then here's the front side of the sprue. You can see he's got a place for his pistol, holster, the sniper rifle, gear. And then there's his head. You can get a good look at that. Nice detailing in the models. And the sprues are nice hard plastic. It's not like board game plastic. And they come out pretty clean. You know, mold line wise, I'd say overall it's pretty clean for mold lines. I mean, you'll have to do a little work scraping, but not bad. Not bad when you get right down to it. I'm kind of excited to put these together. All right, well, let's cut over from here and I'll give you my thoughts. All right, so what are my thoughts on these things? So at $24.95 for Kingpin and $39.95 for Taskmaster and the Punisher, I think the price points are right in there. This is pretty common, I think, with most plastic kits. Certainly there are some companies that are a little bit more expensive than this, and probably some that are less expensive when you get right down to it. But I think about this game, and it's generally speaking billed as a smaller point count game or model count game as a whole. So you don't need a lot of them. So I think that's pretty approachable. And then certainly the starter box has a bunch of models in it as well. So I don't have any issues with the price and what you're paying for it. In terms of the quality of the models themselves, well, they seem to be very nice. They're nice, high quality, durable plastic with very, very few mold lines. And I think they'd be pretty easy to kind of press and fit together. There are some companies where you get some really fine detailed miniatures and where they'll cut the miniature in such a way to get it on the sprue that you're assembling the front half of a head and the back half of a head, and they're tiny little things. So that can be a bit fidgety. I really appreciate the fact they give you extra bases so you can choose. And the bases are molded, meaning they look like city streets and whatnot, where a lot of bases are just black plastic or whatever color, and it's up to you. That's cool for experienced gamers putting that stuff together and being able to build something up, a blank canvas, so to speak. But if you're new to gaming, I would think this would be pretty reasonable to kind of approach and get it on the base pretty quickly. I really like the instructions that kind of come with it. It's very obvious how you put these together, and the artwork, I think, is impeccable and right on point. Overall, I think they've really worked hard, that is Atomic Mass Games, to put together a product that's approachable for a new miniature gamer. Doesn't mean that it won't be fun for an experienced gamer, but certainly for a new miniature gamer, I think that I could probably hand this to my 13-year-old and say, hey, put these models together, and she would do great putting them together. There's always the hazards of too much super glue and using a hobby knife. You want to watch any of that stuff, but I think the price point's right in there. It's affordable, high quality, and approachable. That's what I would say most of all about it. So far I give it a thumbs up. I totally dig it, and that's my thought on both the Kingpin set and the Punisher Taskmaster set. Super excited to get them put together and painted and put them on the table and have a go with it. So nice job, Atomic Mass Games. All right, thanks everybody. Cheers.